All right, hi everybody, welcome. Santa Cruz Beach Volleyball Coaching Clinic 2025. I think this is the third year we've done Coaching Clinic. Yeah, just gonna give you a little bit of a rundown of things we think are important here at SC Beach. I wanna make sure that everybody understands that as coaches, you feel empowered to help players learn the game in a way that you resonates with you, and at the same time give you some tools and some ideas and some things to think about when you're coaching. So Al Adamson's going to talk for a little bit and give you some words on positive coaching, right? Being a positive influence and presence, and then I'll get into a little bit of some nitty-gritty stuff for things we try to teach and things we look for. But yeah, just remember you're empowered, right? Yeah, just think about things that, you know, when you were learning how to play, you would have liked to learn or think are important for learning the game of beach volleyball. All right, Al.
Yep.
Want to take it away? I'll come back.
All right. Show of hand, who's coached before? All right, sounds good. What is a coach? What's your definition of a coach? What's the purpose of a coach? Why do we have coaches? Yeah.
Teach the kids how to play the game.
Teach the kids how to play.
Sorry.
So when you think of a coach, what image comes to mind? Think about the history of the word. What does coach mean? You want some help? Yeah, go ahead. What's that?
Like a car?
Similar. The initial definition of a coach is a horse-drawn carriage to take a person of importance from where they are to where they want or ought to go. That's the initial definition of a coach. And so us as coaches are doing something similar with those that we are coaching. They come in and they want to be transformed into something new and better. And so how are we enabling to do that? Now, who enjoys being criticized? No one. Let it be known that no one raised their hand. No one enjoys being criticized. To Coach Ivan's point, who likes to be empowered with ideas on how to improve? Let it be known that everybody raised their hands. So how do we do that? How do we do that? You hear a lot in society about being critic or critical thinking, and I strongly encourage you not to bring that into your coaching approach. What I advocate is this, very simple, OQIs, observations, questions, and ideas, and it's predicated on the fact that us as human beings, number one, we want to be seen. We don't want to be invisible. We want to be heard. We don't want to be ignored. And we want to be empowered. We don't want to be told what to do. We want ideas on how to improve. And I would encourage you as a coach to invite your young athletes on how to do things. And that's very different than what? That's very different than telling them what to do. They say, hey, I observed that. You know, you did not move your feet to the ball. You didn't you extend your platform. You didn't get, you know, behind over your ball over your shoulder. Whatever it is, you're saying what you saw in a non-critical way. What happens if that happens? Does the other person feel defensive? No. They're like, okay, tell me more about that. Go ahead.
I was going to say they come up with the idea themselves.
100%. And that's number two. Stay in compassionate curiosity. Ask questions. Hey, I saw that you didn't do that. Were you aware that you didn't? No, I wasn't. So now, hey, next time, here's your idea. Next time, get your feet there, keep the ball in front of you, whatever that is. That's a very different approach than what most coaches have done, certainly in my career. So we have to think about new ways, particularly with young people such as yourselves. You're not going to respond well to criticism. My generation didn't either, but now there are new proven ways to approach young athletes and team members, and if we don't leverage that, there's a cost to that. And we want to give everybody a positive, wonderful experience in playing volleyball. It's a wonderful thing to do. So I'll pause there. Any questions about OQIs, inviting people to do things a little bit differently? No? Okay, last thing I'm going to share then. OQIs, observation, questions, and ideas. I mentioned the word invite. So invite them to try new things. Compassionate curiosity, and this goes for yourself as well as players. So when you are coaching, be conscious of your self-talk. Are you looking for what's wrong? Are you looking for what's right and leverageable? So celebrate what is right while being attentive to what's contrary to your knowledge of the game or contrary to your values. Our responsibility as coaches is to keep the culture of the group. And we do that by modeling behavior. So again, be aware of your self-talk, stay in compassionate curiosity around everyone who's there, and be conscious of your self-talk. Where are you? Are you fully present? When you walk up to the beach, go through a routine. Hey, I'm here on the beach. I'm here to serve the people, the kids that are here. And I'm going to be present. I'm going to put on a smile. I'm going to bring that energy, because your level of leadership, that energy is not going to be exceeded by the group. And if it is, it's going to be probably chaos. So you make sure you're attentive, you're fully present, stay in that compassionate curiosity, model the behavior that you would like to see them exchanging with one another. Because you don't want to allow them to be criticizing one another. That's not a good thing. And as we know, this game can be really, really frustrating. Okay? So compassionate curiosity, be attentive to your self-talk, keep the culture, invite your players, and then finally, again, OQIs, observations, questions, and ideas. The final thing I'll say, you never know when you're going to make a lifelong impression on a kid. You never know. You never know. So you have to be fully prepared for the moment. And while it's, whatever, I'm going to make a few bucks coaching, it's a big deal. These kids, you probably remember things coaches have said. So again, model that behavior, be consistent, and have fun yourself. Bring that positive energy. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. I remain a resource to you throughout the season. So yeah, have some fun. All right, Coach.
So I have a few notes. I'm going to try to talk for a little bit of time, get a few ideas also out there. Thank you, Al, first. That's essentially what we're looking for, right? Being positive, make sure everybody's having a good time, right? The reality of our sport, and pretty much any sport, is the more players are playing, the better they will get, right? And so if they're enjoying themselves and they keep coming and they keep playing, they will get better. There's a lot of research out of the Scandinavian countries about kids developing later. A lot of their Olympians, right, developed as sophomores and junior age, you know, if you want to compare ages to our high school ages. And yeah, I feel like something that that as a club we're encountering is kids not feeling like they're successful early enough, so they either quit or drop out or become a lot more casual about it. So yeah, just making sure, ideally, everybody's having fun, everybody's learning. That's more or less our job as coaches, right? Is to make sure everybody's enjoying, it's positive. And then yeah, the other thing that meshes with my points and Al's points is just the research on coaching and how coaches have traditionally operated is just proven to not be very effective, right? Hey, you're doing this wrong. Hey, you need to do this. Hey, you know, this needs to happen, right? There must be some effectiveness. It's been done for years and years and years. The research proves that it's much more efficient to have the OQIs, right? Be observational, make sure the player is involved in the decisions that they're making to make changes, right? There's extrinsic motivation and intrinsic motivation. Does anybody have any idea what that is and what that means? Go ahead, yeah. Internal versus external, right? Players that are motivated by their parents, by their coaches, by someone else tend to have more dropout, more burnout, right? just can't reach the heights maybe that they want to reach. Whereas if we can help them fuel their fire, right, and have more internal motivation, that proves to be more effective over time, more efficient. That's the other thing, right, is efficiency, right? A lot of the reason why we want to use research-based coaching techniques is, in the summer we have 6 hours a week, 2 hours per day, 6 hours a week with the players. It's not that much time. So the more efficient we can be with our time, the better we'll be able to help them get better. So yeah, just science-based coaching, that's what we're looking for. And if you have any questions about any of the science, I can direct you to the podcast I listen to or the research papers that I've read and or have had summarized to me by other people that are more nerdy than I am. Something I do want to focus on, technique-based as coaches, and this is personal to me because I mostly quit playing volleyball because my shoulder got messed up. When we're working with younger players in particular, is making sure they're rotating, right, to generate power and trying to keep a low elbow. I don't know if that demonstrates very well on the video, but that's been proven to be very effective at keeping shoulders healthy, right? And I just see it way too much if the net's here, right? Players are straight on and then they're not maximizing their ability to rotate, open up and really rotate to generate power and save their shoulder, right? It's a health thing. So like I said, coaches are empowered to teach the game, feel empowered to teach the game. That is probably the only focus that I want to say from, like, if you see somebody not rotating, just try to encourage them to rotate more, right? Again, it's not like, hey, you're doing this wrong. It's, hey, can we generate more rotation? Figuring out ways to do that. What else? Learning and doing through action, right? So those of you that have worked with me as a coach or as a player know that I don't say a lot. Well, I probably say too much anyway, but I try to minimize what I say because the reality is that we learn through doing, right? So we try to get out there, we play, then we come in and we talk about what's happening, right? How we saw the game, right? Maybe how the coach saw the game or the drill or what was happening, and then things we can do to make ourselves more effective, right? At the end of the day, we're trying to score points. For those younger level kids, it's all about, hey, can we get our pass closer to the net, right? Can we get our set closer to the net? Can we spike and or free ball from close to the net so that we can have a better point percentage? At the end of the day, there's a lot of simple things, but the more we can get players doing those things on the court, right? Create mini games, draw lines, have them play to get the ball to the net. Have the ball coming over the net back and forth is really valuable, as opposed to just doing something where they're tossing a ball at each other and passing it to a spot that's not that relevant to what the decisions they have to make when they play, right? The research talks a lot about transfer, right? Does what we're doing out here transfer to when they're playing the game? They could be tossing back and forth and passing 100 balls to each other and be amazing at that, and then all of a sudden a kid serves from over the net and they shank 4 in a row because they don't really see the ball come over the net as much as we would like, right? All right. So yeah, that the feeling of the coaching sometimes feels a little weird, right? If we're not talking a lot, if we're not saying, hey, you got to do this, right? The coach ideally is not the center of attention, right? The players, the people that are doing the actions are the center of attention. They're the important ones. As a coach, I think Al mentioned it, we're servants at this point. We're there to help, and if we can be less the center of attention, the better. There'll be moments where we got to come in, we got to talk about what we're doing, but the reality is that the most effective thing we can do is listen, right? and then maybe ask some questions to try to guide players in the directions where we want to go. I talked on about intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Thank you, Juju, for the help with that. Yeah, just try to emphasize growth mindset, right? When you're coaching, remind players that we're here to practice our weaknesses, right? A lot of players really like to do what they already know how to do well, and that's not the most opportunity for growth. So if you're seeing a player that has a specific weakness, right, we can talk to them gently about, hey, like this is happening very frequently. I'll give a beach specific example, right? Passing up in this area, right? A lot of players have issues with that. So we talk about, hey, not just opening up, but hey, let's be willing to like tell your opponent to serve you deep, right? Be here to make some mistakes. Be here in practice to work on your weaknesses, as opposed to just reinforcing your strengths. Just because there's not much growth opportunity, right? Something that you're good at, you can only get this much better at, right? Something that you're not as good at, you can get really, really good at. And again, it's efficiency, right? So being efficient with our time. All right, so something that I've learned has been really effective for me as I become more experienced as a coach, is talking to the players about how we're making the game easier for each other, right? They're the ones playing, right? When we're coaching, they're the ones playing. They're the ones that are struggling, right? You might be able to get to that ball easily, right? Run it down. But usually they're younger, right? They don't have as much experience. Maybe they can't get to that ball, right? But we can talk to them about reading the game, right? Reading shoulders, reading lineup, approaches, those kinds of things that make the game easier. And then just making it easier for our partner, right? So we talk about pushing the ball to the net. And I usually give the 10-foot line and I'm like, hey, let's try to pass and set from near the 10-foot line, in front of the 10-foot line. And then I ask a question. I'm like, hey, put your mind as a setter or setters, like people that have been setting. Was it easier to set the ball when your partner passed close to the net, or was it harder, right? And they usually say easier because they start to, and then it sort of makes it, maybe I need to pass that ball closer to make it easier for my partner, right? And then similar, right, with less experienced players particularly, you'll see a lot of sets that go way far away. And I say, hey, as a hitter, if you're getting ready to hit and your partner sets it way far away from them, is it easier to hit or harder, as opposed to if they keep it close to them, right? You can ask those questions, and once they think about it a little bit, or maybe you ask that question and they don't give you the answer that you thought would come, and then you have them play, and you're like, hey, like when it was set was going far away, were we having an easier time spiking or a harder time spiking? And they go, oh, when it was closer, it was much easier. And you're like, okay, let's try to do that consistently. And it's not always going to be consistent, but that's progress. Okay, I think I've talked about most of the things. Play, right? The more we can play games of volleyball, mini games, queens, versus, all those things, those are the things that translate into our play. And at the end of the day, most of the players want to play tournaments, right? They want to get better at tournaments. They want to score more points. They want to win. And so those are the things that are going to translate, like I said, as opposed to doing something where we're tossing balls at each other, or pepper is not a very effective transfer part of the game. That's just the research. And last thing, the goal at the end of the day is intentionality, right? Can we help young volleyball players become more intentional about what they're doing? Whether that is passing the ball closer to the net, setting the ball closer to the net, setting the ball more up and down and closer to themselves, right? As they get more advanced, right, it goes from hitting the ball to the lines, right? Hitting the corners, talking about, what the other team is doing for their defense. How can we exploit it? How can we intentionally get the ball? A lot of, teams for the younger kids play two-back defense. Can we get to the ball to the net and get a short shot to exploit that space, right? Can we be intentional as players, and that will really increase the understanding of the game, and hopefully lead to better outcomes. It really should. As outcomes being winning, right? Which at the end of the day isn't our, as coaches, main outcome, right? Our outcome is growth, learning, development,